Time for Michigan's newest sports talk show, Mitten Madness.
And here he goes. Defense win championship.
Michigan sports talk from here in Battle Creek. The latest stories, the biggest games, all across the Mitten State.
That's not something to play with.
Streaming live and on demand on the 95.3 WBCK app. Your host, Da'Jzon Hughes.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness. Good morning on this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes. We're getting ready to talk an hour's worth of sports happening around the state of Michigan. And there is not a ton to talk about here in the Mitten State, but we do have plenty to talk about this weekend. The Tigers is where we'll start, as we always do, as they are in the thick of the second half of the MLB season and are making their push for the playoffs as things are really starting to heat up in the AL Central. And then we'll touch in on fantasy football and the Detroit Lions, as football season is more than just around the corner. We can see it peeking over the horizon after the NFL Hall of Fame game was last night. Some good things, some bad things, some crazy things, and a whole lot of things that won't matter came out of that Hall of Fame game, as it always does. And then we'll roll right into some talk about the WNBA and the Women's FIBA World Cup before getting into our picks to end out the show. It's been an amazing week. I am kidding. This week has been daunting. Work all week long has been crazy. A lot of moving parts happening around here, but I did get a chance to stop by the Boys and Girls Club here in Kalamazoo. They got a new building, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy, very proud of the things that are going to happen within that building, and I'm really excited to be able to do some work with them, both on a business and a personal level moving forward, as that place does mean a lot to me. And then, of course, I have a ton of exciting things to look forward to this weekend. Northside Day going down here in Kalamazoo. Got a 5K walk or run to open things up at 9 a.m. before the ensuing celebration happens at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Lacrone Park. And then, of course, they'll end things out with a special Beats on Baits happening at the NACD, Northside Association of Community Development building, over on North Street on the north side of Kalamazoo. Going to be a star-studded block of a day that's going to be awesome. Hoping to see some of you guys out there as well. And then, as always, tons of sports for me to enjoy. Might even watch a little bit of baseball this weekend, but got tons of lacrosse on the professional side to watch, and there's some WNBA action I will be having my eyes, ears, and everything else on, because I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully you guys had an amazing week, and you're getting into an amazing weekend. And now that we've gotten through the obligatories, we're going to start with our Detroit Tigers, and we're going to start in the standings like we always do. They are still second from the bottom in the AL Central. They now sit only 3.5 games behind the division-leading Chicago White Sox, who are 59-55. A half game above the Tigers are the Twins and Guardians, who are both 3 games behind the White Sox at 57-59 apiece. Your Tigers coming in at 56-59. Then the Royals really, really slumping it down at the bottom of the division, 48-68, 12 games behind the White Sox, who sit atop of it all. When you look at the American League as a whole, the Tigers slowly climbing up the ranks. They've now jumped ahead of the Seattle Mariners after their series with them earlier this week. And then you also have the Blue Jays, Royals, Athletics, and Angels that are below them. They are tied with the Baltimore Orioles right now, and then right above them are the Guardians and Twins, a half game above them each, as the Tigers and Orioles are 12.5 games behind the American League leading Tampa Bay Rays, who are 68-46. Yankees right behind them, 4.5 games at 64-51. 5 games back at 63-51 of the Boston Red Sox. And then you got the White Sox coming in 9 games behind. And then the Astros 59-57, 10 games behind the Rays, coming in 5th in the American League. When you look at the entire MLB overall, Tigers are still toward the bottom, but have certainly made their way to the middle of the rankings. Below them, the Mariners, Nationals, Blue Jays, Mets, Giants, Royals, Athletics, Rockies, and Angels. Angels at the bottom with that 44-71 record, 28 games behind the leaders. The Rockies not far ahead of them, 27 games behind, along with the A's. They're both 45-70. At the top of the entire MLB are the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 72-43. The Braves are 70-45, 2 games behind them. Then the Dodgers, 69-46, 3 games. And then we are reintroduced to the American League by the Tampa Bay Rays, 3.5 games back. Cubs coming in at 5th, 5.5 games back at 67-49. So the Tigers definitely have their work cut out in front of them. Looking at the team leaders for our Tigers, Kevin McGonigal, .284 in the batting average department. His on-base percentage of .391. He's got a slugging percentage of .431. And you know who still leads the team in home runs and RBIs. Dylan Dingler, 26 home run jacks on the year. He's got 78 RBIs. His batting average of .278. Looking at the pitching side of things, Kiter Montero leads in the ERA department, 3.17. He's got 8 wins on the year, where he also leads the team. He's only got 81 strikeouts. Sitting right behind him in the win department and the ERA department is Tarek Skubal. Well, used to be Tarek Skubal. We'll talk about that in just a moment. He's got 7 wins, and his ERA is 2.79, 116 strikeouts. Unfortunately, before we even get to that, 526 runs is 12th in the league. .244 batting average is 16th. Their .320 on-base percentage is 10th, and their slugging percentage of .412 is 9th. Meanwhile, in the pitching side, their earned run average, 3.53 ERA is 4th. Their 46 quality starts is 6th. Their whip of 1.21 is 6th. And their opponent batting average of .232 is 6th in the league as well, continuing to dominate on the mound. But those numbers may be subject to change, as not only Tarek Skubal was dished out at the trade deadline, so was Casey Mize. So 2 big-time pitchers for the Tigers have found homes elsewhere. As we know, Skubal has ended up with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like, are we serious? Are we serious? Why do the rich always get richer? There was zero reason for Tarek Skubal to go and sign with the Dodgers unless he's a 1-year rental. He's going to go over there, win himself a championship, then come back and sign a banger contract with the Tigers and just end out his career here and try and win another ring after learning how to do it with an established franchise. Kind of sounds like somebody, I don't know, LeBron James. Hey, I'm just saying, these things work. So if Skubal was to do that, I wouldn't be too upset. But it is interesting to see that is where Tarek Skubal ended up to land. They did get huge prospects back. I mean, 3 prospects is big time, but I'm not a big fan of prospects. I'm a big fan of proven talent, and Tarek Skubal is proven talent. So hopefully he makes his way back into a Tigers uniform, but there is no guarantee there. Casey Mize is being sent to the San Diego Padres, so that's going to be interesting as they are looking to bolster their rotation out there. The San Diego Padres shored up their rotation at the trade deadline Monday, acquiring left-hander Robbie Ray from the San Francisco Giants and right-hander Casey Mize from the Tigers. The Padres, who are 11 games behind the Dodgers in the National League West, have gone 8-2 in their past 10 games, and they vault back into contention in the wild card race, just 1 game out of the final spot coming into the beginning of this week. So that's a big part of the reason why they went out to get these pitching changes, hoping to bring in some help here. Mize, meanwhile, is having a breakthrough season, but the 29-year-old right-hander continues to be interrupted by health issues and is scheduled to become a free agent after the season. 4-6 with a 2.70 ERA, 85 strikeouts, and a .99 whip, ranking the top 10% in walk percentage, but has pitched only 86 2/3 innings, while twice being placed on the IL because of a strained groin. His fastball velocity of 93.5 miles per hour is the lowest of his big league career, but he has 4 above-average pitches in his fastball, cutter, sweeper, and splitter that are all performing at least average pitches. He was improved by limiting damage on his fastball splitter this year, staying on the fringes of the zone, and inducing whiffs on the cutter by tunneling with the fastball. Despite a very low ground ball rate, he has allowed just 5 home runs. 4 of the 5 homers he has allowed have come on the road, but he has had all of his pitches working while allowing batters a .593 OPS in 2026. That's the 10th lowest mark among pitchers with at least 80 innings and 3 points better than former Tigers teammate Tarek Skubal. He last pitched in July 25th, giving up just 1 run in 6 innings, but was scratched as a precautionary measure before Friday's game against the Athletics. So Mize looking to go over and help the Giants with their impending season. Now it's time to look at what the Tigers have going on in their schedule for the remainder of this week and into next week. So they are headed into a Friday weekend series with none other than the San Francisco Giants. Does not look like Casey Mize will be on the mound anytime during this series for the Giants, as it's going to be Montero versus Brubaker on Friday night as I'm recording this Friday afternoon, 10:15 p.m., and then 7:15 p.m. on Saturday. Later today, you get Job and versus Roop, 7:15 first pitch, and Melton versus Webb, 4:05 first pitch on Sunday. Then you get Monday off, rolling right into the Tuesday series with the Cleveland Guardians, 6:40 p.m. first pitch on Tuesday and Wednesday. Anderson versus Beebe on Tuesday. Valdez versus Griffin on Wednesday. 1:10 first pitch on Thursday. Montero versus Messick. And then you get the Chicago White Sox in a 3-game series over the weekend. 6:40 p.m. Job versus K on Friday night. 1:10 p.m. on Saturday. Melton versus Martin. And 1:40 p.m. on Sunday. Anderson versus Burke. Great opportunity for the Tigers to make huge ground within the American League Central. If they are able to win 4 of those 6 games, or if they do something crazy like, I don't know, sweep those 6 games, they could find themselves right near the top, if not at the top of the entire American League Central. Those 2 series that they have coming up next week are the biggest series, I think, of the second half of the season up to this moment. They have to go out and take care of business with both Cleveland and the Chicago White Sox. It would be nice if they were able to get some momentum with that heading into this matchup against the Guardians by taking care of things against the San Francisco Giants. It is an uphill battle over these next couple of weeks. It does not get easier. They have a 3-game series against Pittsburgh, a 3-game series against the Royals. Then they get the Tampa Bay Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's uphill sledding. Very, very tough lineup for the Tigers coming up. And then you just traded away 2 of your star pitchers who were, literally the top 2 in your rotation. I'm not sure how you go out and make those decisions when you're trying and actively in a playoff race. But I'm not the GM over there, and maybe it will all work out. But keep your eyes peeled and your ears listening here on 95.3 The Ticket for your Tigers coverage. When we get back from the break, we'll be talking about fantasy football and the Lions here on 95.3 The Ticket. Come.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bates. People sometimes ask what I've learned in my 2-time battle with cancer. 1 is that with the right treatment, you can beat it. 2 is that it's not just cancer you're battling. You also need to anticipate LE, lymphedema, a disease that can leave those who undergo cancer treatment with a lifetime of swelling and pain. If you're facing a cancer diagnosis, discuss lymphedema with your doctor. With knowledge and action, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
Welcome back back in the Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and it's time for us to talk about some fantasy football and the Detroit Lions. We're going to tell you some people you should draft and some you should stay away from so that you are all prepared for your fantasy football draft as things are starting to come right up close and personal with the season starting right around the corner. We'll start with quarterback, keeping in tradition in the space. Buffalo Bills star Josh Allen again gets featured because he tends to be the first quarterback off the fantasy draft board. Allen has finished among the top 2 QBs in fantasy scoring for 6 consecutive seasons. Nobody can match his production and durability. He is awesome still. Is that worth a second-round pick in standard fantasy leagues? I can't do it. The position is deep. Opportunity cost matters. Give me all the productive running backs and wide receivers early and one of the selective QBs much later. Sorry, Josh, it isn't you, it's me. Drake May of the New England Patriots launched himself into the stardom with 4,394 passing yards, 31 passing touchdowns, 450 rushing yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. Only Allen scored more fantasy points among QBs. May is 23. What about him could possibly scare us? Check New England's schedule. May didn't face a top 10 defense during the regular season. He will face a bunch of them this season, except production. But a repeat of 350 fantasy points. I'm fading top QBs anyway, and this great one stands out, but he perhaps only for this season. The Washington Commanders' Jaden Daniels could not replicate a stunning rookie season in which he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He played in only 7 games last season, succumbing to injuries to a knee, wrist, hamstring, and elbow. We love the running QBs when they're playing. Daniels, much like Dart, with his immense tools, possesses a seemingly unlimited statistical ceiling, but the injury risk is real. Always beware of the rookies. The Las Vegas Raiders building block Fernando Mendoza. The number 1 pick in the NFL draft might be a fantasy star in September if he pushes aside Kirk Cousins, or he might sit for months. He has little place in a standard fantasy draft this season. For deeper formats, perhaps Indianapolis Colts reclamation project Daniel Jones really is recovered from a torn Achilles, but we cannot expect pristine efficiency or rushing touchdowns come September. Many fantasy managers overrate Green Bay Packers starter Jordan Love. There's a reason the Packers limit his passing attempts to fewer than 30 per game. Don't assume this will change. Love's low volume. He doesn't run much either. Limits him in fantasy. Do not speculate on the Cleveland Browns passer in fantasy. It's just not worth it. Running back, San Francisco 49ers star Christian McCaffrey won Comeback Player of the Year honors, playing in all 17 games and easily leading the sport with more than 400 fantasy points. Congrats to him and those who invested it. I didn't expect that, so I missed out. It was almost like the 49ers rostered McCaffrey in fantasy and were intent on carrying their teams. It was wild. McCaffrey consumed more than 900 snaps and 400 touches, and I'm going nowhere near him again in 2026. Running backs are mortal, especially this one who has dominated fantasy managers in multiple seasons or demoralized fantasy managers in multiple seasons. Running backs cannot handle workloads to this degree in consecutive seasons. In fact, since 2000, there have been 13 instances of running backs logging 400 carries in a season, including playoffs, and none was among the top 10 running backs the next season. Saquon Barkley failed in 2025. We were right about him at least. This is a telling stat. McCaffrey, now 30, played all the games last season. It hardly means he can repeat the achievement. The 49ers will be more cautious. The new Kansas City Chiefs starter, Kenneth Walker III, comes off being named the Super Bowl MVP with the Seattle Seahawks, and most everyone presumes his best seasons are pending, perhaps. But the Seahawks knew that they had in Walker, and he never finished better than 15th in running back at fantasy scoring during his first 4 seasons. Even last season, Walker ranked 20th in rushing attempts that the Seahawks aimed to avoid injury until leaning on him in January. The Chiefs seem unlikely to make Walker a major part of the passing game. This one is about value. Walker in the 3rd round is a little bit much, at least for me. Los Angeles Rams backup Blake Corum averaged 5.1 yards per carry in second NFL season. Starter Kyron Williams, with double-digit rushing touchdowns each of the past 3 seasons, is going early in round 5 in ESPN leagues. Perhaps Williams can sustain his production even as Corum continues to ascend, but it is likely Williams will take a statistical step back. Be careful about assuming Williams is a safe RB2 option again. Bucky Irvin started as a rookie. His second season looked quite different. It's easy to blame it all on shoulder injury that cost him nearly 2 months, but Irving rushed for 1 touchdown in 10 games, averaging 3.4 yards per rush. The Buccaneers signed Kenny Gainwell, an accomplished pass catcher who averaged 4.7 yards per rush with the Steelers. One can reasonably debate whether Gainwell simply outscores Irving this season. Travion Henderson of the Patriots enters his second season with fantasy managers craving investment, even though productive veteran Ramondre Stevenson remains very much involved in the offense. This doesn't mean Henderson will disappoint in fantasy, but volume is critical in player evaluation, and it sure seems like the Patriots will share it in their backfield. Stevenson is the valuable pick multiple rounds after Henderson. Chuba Hubbard being a safe RB3, is there enough doubt to worry about there? Perhaps fading both of them is the play, with Jonathan Brooks becoming a major part of the volume of that Carolina Panthers offense. Travis Etienne Jr. is an acquisition for the New Orleans Saints, coming off his best season. And obviously, Alvin Kamara is still there as one of the best passing running backs ever. Etienne is not productive as a goal line runner, and he is not catching 6 TDs again. I don't see it as a safe RB2. Looking at some receivers, Rashee Rice is more than an injury risk. He's a games risk, as he has played in only 12 games the past 2 seasons, with injury and suspension derailing him. You must guess which narrative is the bigger problem moving forward. That is quite telling. Perhaps you heard the news. Patriots acquired former Eagles star A.J. Brown, the number 1 receiver the offense lacked. I don't know. It was rarely discussed this offseason. Choose your reason for why Brown looked to be in decline last season, other than target for his 3-game stretch in November. He wasn't happy in Philadelphia. He might not be happy facing a tough schedule with the Patriots that is littered with shutdown corners. Marvin Harrison Jr. might blossom one of these seasons, but we must stop blaming the organization or his quarterbacks for his ordinary numbers. Some still invest in Harrison because he was a number 4 pick in the 24 draft, and how can anyone with that pedigree not be truly awesome? Draft Harrison, but not as a definite wide receiver 2. You have tons of rookie wide receivers to take a look at, but the second-year receivers are the way to go. Good for Atlanta Falcons starter Kyle Pitts Sr., the number 4 pick from 21 draft. Finally delivered a notable and valuable season when he was running out of time to do so. Fantasy managers loved him. They're making him a top 5 tight end in current drafts, but should they? Is the real question. On an offense that struggled at times, especially in throwing downfield, Eagles starter Dallas Goedert caught 11 of the team's 26 TDs. The 31-year-old caught 12 touchdowns during the prior 4 seasons combined. With some of that time lost to injuries, that's another point. Goddard isn't durable, and he likely isn't coming close to double-digit TDs again. That's going to make it extremely difficult to trust on him at the tight end position. But as you can tell, there are a lot of quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers to have your eye on, but also some to kind of stray away from. So those are all things you're going to want to have your eye on. St. Brown continues to be the best of the best when it comes to the Lions receivers. He's putting on a dazzling show at their training camp as the Lions are preparing for another season where they are going to have a little bit more of a favorable schedule this year, as they did come in 4th in the NFC North, which sets them up to have some success across the board in a few different scenarios. But one of the most exciting things that Lion fans are going to be excited about is Jahmyr Gibbs is relieved that the deal is done and they can now focus on what's going to happen on the field. Jahmyr Gibbs feels relieved after inking his new 3-year, $67.5 million contract and is ready to put the ordeal behind him and focus on football. The Detroit Lions Pro Bowl running back said on Friday, "This process has been extremely stressful. I just wanted to play ball," Gibbs said. "I missed being out there with my teammates and coaches, and it's just fun being out there now with my pads and stuff on. It just feels a lot better. It was really hard, but it's a business and stuff. It's just got to get done." But yeah, it was really hard. Gibbs, 24, officially signed his new contract Friday morning, ending his hold-in, in which he reported to the Lions facility but sat out for 6 consecutive practices while waiting for a new contract. The deal would be worth up to $75.75 million and includes $51.5 million guaranteed, according to his agent Todd France of Athletes First, making him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. Gibbs was on the field for his 2nd straight day of practice in uniform Friday, but on a limited basis, and he didn't participate in full team drills again. With deals done for Colts Jonathan Taylor and Falcons Bijan Robinson after hold-ins to avoid fines, Gibbs takes pride that the current group has successfully reset the running back market. Robinson's extension is for 3 years and $66.75 million and can be worth up to $75 million, including the $51 guaranteed at signing. Taylor's deal has a maximum value of $47 million, includes $39 million guaranteed, the 3rd largest deal for a running back in NFL history. Yeah, we want to open the gates for the younger generation and show them the pathway of being able to do as such, Gibbs said. Like, for example, be an every down back, being able to pass, protect, catch, and just be explosive. You don't want the team to have to take you off the field. After signing, Gibbs said he received congratulatory messages from Taylor and Robinson, as well as other star running backs such as Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, James Cook, and former NFL running back Anthony Thomas. They always show love. As always, we're all in this together, Gibbs said. Lions All-Pro linebacker Jack Campbell, who was also drafted by Detroit in 2023, was excited to see Gibbs return to the field this week, but also knows it'll make his job much tougher to try to contain him during camp once he ramps up. Is it nice? I don't know. For me, I saw him back out there. I was like, gosh, now I've got to go on one-on-ones against him in routes, but now it's good to have Job back, Campbell said. Thursday, you know what he is. You know what he does for the team. He's electric. As first-year Lions offensive coordinator Drew Petzing also worked to implement his new system while Gibbs was continuing his hold-in process. Petzing said he's not concerned about Gibbs being able to adjust once he fully returns. He's one of our best players, Petzing said ahead of Thursday's practice. We always want him out there, but I know he's going to be ready when the moment comes. Petzing has continued to communicate with Gibbs frequently, and they developed a working relationship by talking through practice reps and different ideas. He has also used the time without Gibbs to adapt and give other guys chances, such as running backs Jacob Saylors and Isaiah Pacheco, to find a groove. I think that's a small piece of it, but for a guy that's played at such a high level, I think his skill set is very obvious, Petzing said. I think we know what's going to look like when he gets a feel for it, so it's not something we're particularly worried about. I think we can work on those things even when he's not on the field and would expect us to pick back up right where he left off when he gets back. It's going to be interesting what the Lions season looks like with the changes on the offensive end, obviously in the coaching staff, etc. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to put out, but there isn't a ton to talk about. Obviously, they're in camp. They got some preseason games coming up soon, but they're going to try and do a lot better than the 9-8 that they did last year. It's kind of on, well, I won't say that because it can definitely get worse, but based off what we saw, it's kind of really only up from here. So we'll be talking a lot more about the Lions as the season creeps closer. When we come back from the break, we'll be talking WNBA here on Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Ticket.
Carter Osterhaus here for the Council for Responsible Energy. I want to share a few quick, simple, and inexpensive tips that will not only reduce your home's energy use, but will also save you money on your utility bills. As you switch from heating to cooling, why not opt for a new programmable thermostat that will virtually pay for itself? This is one of the easiest things you can do to really see some significant savings. You can save about $180 a year by properly setting a programmable thermostat. Weather stripping can also significantly lower your bills. You just peel the backing off and seal up any leaks in drafty doors and windows. It only takes a few minutes, but you definitely notice a difference in both the temperature in the house and also your bills. And my last tip, check your home's insulation. Proper insulation in your attic, ceilings, floors, crawl spaces, exterior and basement walls can save you 30% on home energy bills. It's a little bit more work for you, but your wallet will definitely thank you.
A message from the Council for Responsible Energy.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and we are getting back into more talk and action about the WNBA. We'll start with their playoff picture, which is really starting to heat up as there are 6 teams that can clinch the final berth. Nneka Ogwumike wasn't shaken with Sunday's late night news that Kelsey Plum was traded from the Los Angeles Sparks to the Phoenix Mercury. With 15 seasons in the league as a Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and a champion, not much can surprise her when it comes to WNBA movement. The odd part of it, however, is the move, which brought in a first-round pick in the 2027 draft, as well as a second-year guard, Monique Okoye-Makani, was made with an eye on the future. The Sparks have a veteran squad with Ogwumike, Ariel Atkins, Derica Hamby, and Erica Wheeler all signing in the spring to compete for the title this season. But Plum, a 5-star All-Star and 2-time champion who joined the Sparks ahead of the 25 season, made it known she was ready for a new home and would be actively looking in free agency after the season. I've been in situations where it was unexpected for everyone. Ogwumike said it wasn't so unexpected for us. We want her to be happy. We want her to be healthy. So I think that there's a bit of comfort for everyone knowing that, and also being able to get it done in a way where I feel like everybody's okay with it. It breathes a little bit of life into the situation. Despite being in that weird bit of a limbo, the Sparks are in 10th place with an 11-18 record and are 6 games back, along with the Chicago Sky, who will have a slightly better winning percentage than Los Angeles from the Washington Mystics in 8th place. Every team in the WNBA has between 11 and 16 regular season games remaining, but the Minnesota Lynx, Las Vegas Aces, Golden State Valkyries, Dallas Wings, Indiana Fever, and Atlanta Dream would need a disaster to happen to fall out of a playoff berth. Washington controls its own playoff destiny, but hope remains for the Sparks and few other teams in the race for the 8th and final spot in the postseason. The New York Liberty are only a half game ahead of the Mystics, but they also seem like a lock with Breanna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu healthy. Here's a quick breakdown of the race for the 8th seed. Washington Mystics at 17-12. If they weren't the youngest team in the league, the Mystics would essentially be considered a lock with a 5-game lead and 16 games remaining. But this is a new situation for the youngsters, and the pressure to close out the regular season and return to the playoffs for the first time since 2023 is a real thing. No team currently not in the playoffs can secure more than 28 wins, and the only team capable of reaching 28 wins is the Sparks if they go undefeated. The Mystics can hit 29 wins by finishing on a 12-4 run. If they continue to win at a .571 clip, they'll get to 25 wins and likely hold off the rest. Their active 5-game winning streak, the second longest in the league, increases the confidence level in a postseason berth. It might actually be the longest in the league now, since the Minnesota Lynx just lost their 10-game winning streak not too long ago. The Mystics will also have the opportunity to keep the rest of the teams competing for the final spot at bay as they play the Mercury 3 times, the Sparks twice, the Sky twice, and the Fire once. The fact that the Sparks are still in this conversation at 11-18 after a recent 3-11 stretch, including a 6-game losing streak, is a testament to those playing heavy minutes in Los Angeles. Between Ogwumike, Atkins, Hambler, and Wheeler, that's 17 All-Star bids and a championship for all but Wheeler. With Plum, this was supposed to be a title contender. Without her, that group plus Ray Burrell, Cameron Brink, and newly acquired Akoa Makani is a playoff quality roster. That same group, however, has struggled throughout the year. The Sparks will need help from the Mystics, but they'll also face them twice. 10 of LA's final 16 games feature a team currently in the playoffs. Using 25 wins as the marker of Washington continuing to win at its current rate, the Sparks would need to win 14 of 16 to reach that. Last season, however, being the first 44-game season, teams that reached 23 victories reached the playoffs. We have to be consistent in what we know makes us good, Coach Lynn Roberts said. At this point in the season, we know where we're good, we know where we're not good, or what makes us kind of struggle. We need to be consistent in what makes us good, which is playing with pace and ball movement. When you don't have a one-on-one player like KP that can just go get a bucket, you've got to rely on movement, player movement, ball movement, and just be playing unselfish. The Phoenix Mercury at 12-20. If anyone's openly making a push for the final spot, it's the Mercury. The trade for Plum, who could end up leaving in free agency this offseason, is a risky move. Things worked well Monday as she scored 20 points in 20 minutes in her debut off the bench and a 106-101 win over the Sky. Plum moved to the starting lineup Wednesday, a 96-82 loss at Atlanta. The Mercury will face the Mystics 3 times and the Sparks once to have the chance to directly make up some ground. There are 8 current playoff teams in the final 13 games, including the Mystics. The Mercury need to go undefeated the rest of the way to reach 25 wins or 11-2 to get to 23 wins. The Sky at 12-19. The Sky have been playing over 500 ball recently, 5-3 in the past 8 games, but they'll need to do more than that. They'll need to go on a 14-0 to reach 25 wins and 12-2 to hit 23. The team is already playing shorthanded with Skylar Diggins out because of a right knee injury and Azura Stevens missing 4 games for personal reasons. And now standout rookie Sydney Taylor is dealing with a groin injury. The postseason, though, absolutely remains the goal despite the low odds. There will be opportunities to pull back those ahead in the standings with 2 games against the Mystics, 2 against the Liberty, and 1 against the Sparks. We all feel like we have had enough in the locker room to turn out some of these games. Sky coach Tyler Marsh said, in the ones in front of us, we feel confident that if we put our best foot forward, that we can turn out some wins in those as well. We're all confident in where we're at right now to be able to make a push. The Portland Fire and the Toronto Temple, who are 11-19 and 10-20. It's difficult to have much faith in the 2 expansion franchises considering they're combined to lose 12 straight games. That streak has to break Thursday when they play each other. The numbers are the same for the Fire as the Sky. The 14 games remaining, the Fire have a good chance at the start with the 5 of 6 games against teams currently out of the playoffs, but 5 of the final 8 are against are playoff locks, including 3 against the Valkyries. The Tempo can't reach 25 wins and need to go 13-1 to get to 23. Things just haven't been the same since they lost Brittany Sykes to injury. 8 of the Tempo's final 14 games are against current playoff teams. So it looks like the Mystics are headed back to the playoffs, but they do have that uphill battle with the Liberty, who are kind of right there, like literally, like they're in the playoffs, but the Mystics, if they're able to put it together, could steal it. So that's kind of the main thing we're looking at here. As they said, the Sparks and the Mercury are kind of still in the mix, but everybody else after that, not really having the pieces to compete and be able to have sustained success to go on a run. They're talking 12-2, 14-0 runs, having to win 10 games, something like that. Like, come on. Some of these teams have not been able to string together more than 3 or 4 wins in a row, let alone 10, let alone going 12-2 or 14-0. So we kind of have the playoff picture out and easy to see. I would love to see the Mystics back in, but we know the Liberty are who they are and are star-studded. So we may see them just do enough to hold off the Mystics and grab that final postseason spot at the 8th seed. But in other news, the USA FIBA World Cup women's basketball roster has been announced, as that is going to be ensuing here pretty soon. Maybe they'll have some dates later on. But the roster, as it shows here, is Caitlin Clark from the Indiana Fever, Aja Wilson from the Aces, Ryan Howard from the Atlanta Dream, Jackie Young from the Las Vegas Aces, Paige Beckers from the Wings, Aaliyah Boston from the Fever, Chelsea Gray from the Aces, Kelsey Plum and Kalia Copper from the Mercury, Brianna Stewart from the Liberty, Nafisa Collier from the Lynx, and Angel Reese from the Dream. The coaching staff, Kara Lawson is the head coach. Natalie Nakase is Nate Tibbetts and Stephanie White are all assistant coaches, and Sue Bird will be the managing director. It's been a while since we've been able to see anything. Oh, okay. It looks like the group stage will run from September 4th to the 7th. The field will be slimming down from 16 to 12 ahead of the qualification round. Group winners will automatically gain entry into the quarterfinals, while group runner-ups and third-place teams will take part in the qualification. So that is the rundown there. Obviously, Olivia Miles is near the top of the list for the World Cup snubs, along with Sabrina Ionescu, Alicia Gray, and Kelsey Mitchell all count themselves unlucky on missing the roster. Obviously, Ionescu was part of the U.S. gold medal winning roster in 2022 World Cup and 24 Olympics. She has missed 12 games due to injury, although she has looked much improved since returning. Gray garnered MVP conversation in 25. And then obviously Mitchell has been one of the greatest pure scorers in not only this season, but the WNBA's history. So we'll see what we got WNBA action next week. But you know what we're getting into now. It's the picks when we get back from the break here on 95.3 The Tick.com. Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and it's time to get into my favorite part of the show, the picks. The picks are always fun, and you guys can join in on the fun every single week. All you got to do is put in your picks, your selections into the chat feature on the 95.3 The Ticket app. We select 6 games, matches, contests, whatever it may be, every single week. And then I do my deliberation, my thoughts, my concerns, tell you why I am right and always right, because I know so much about ball, and tell you what's going to be right. And of course, a lot of the times my picks are wrong, and a lot of times my picks are right, because sometimes I know ball and sometimes I don't. But one thing I do know is it's always fun to sit around and talk about the picks and what's going to happen and what does and doesn't actually happen. You have the cool thing of being able to listen to me jabber and blabber about things that I think I know about. And then you can go and do your own research, your own deliberation, have your own thoughts and your own conversations surrounding these games, contests, matches, whatever the case may be, and make your picks. And then you submit them into the 95.3 The Ticket app. If you happen to do better than me, we'll have something special for you. But as a lot of you out there already know, it's hard to beat your boy at the picks. Jacob tried 3 different times. He tied me once. but he caught that big L twice, which means I got 2 dubs under my belt, and nobody out there has beat the man yet. So if you got it in you, let's see it. Chat feature is open on the 95.3 The Ticket app, and we hope that you have it as good as I do. Keep track of your picks all season long, and if you do happen to do better than me, then, of course, I'll have that record as well, and we'll get you something special. I had a pretty good week last week. I shouldn't say pretty good. It was okay. It was slightly above average. Went 4-2 last week, so that gets me up to 81-69. Nice. And 1 on this season. This season is going to be coming to an end here pretty soon once we get into football. You know, the football is always the turning point of our seasons. So we'll have a new season starting soon once college and NFL football gets rolling, which is literally right around the corner. Last week, the Lynx took down the Fever, Sparks over the Fire, Valkyries over the Tempo. The Dream did end up losing their game to the Aces. The Wings were not able to beat the Mystics. And then the Tigers were successful 2-1 over the Mariners in their 3-game series. So I did pick up a win there along with the Valkyries, Sparks, and Lynx. Losses with the Dream and the Wings. So that's 4-2 last week. Going into a fresh week of picks this week. We got 5 WNBA games once again, and we got another MLB series on the docket for this week. This time, I think we'll start with the MLB series. And it's our Detroit Tigers. They're 56-59, 30-27 when playing at home at Comerica Park. They're welcoming in the Cleveland Guardians early in the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is this series. We got the Tuesday matchup here that we're looking at first, 6:40 p.m., 43.2% chance for the Guardians, 56.8% chance for the Tigers. Tanner Beebe is 4-11 on the year, 3.85 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's pitched 138 innings, 118 hits, 110 strikeouts, 38 walks, and 23 home runs that he's given up. He's going against Drew Anderson, who's 4-4 on the year, 4.01 ERA, 1.29 whip, and 67.1 innings, 62 hits, 78 strikeouts, 25 walks. He's given up 9 homers. So that's going to be an interesting game. As we do know, the pitching is interesting for the Tigers right now as their rotation is all over the place. And then they're going to play again on Wednesday, 6:40 p.m., They're giving the Guardians a 41.5% chance. Tigers 58.5% chance. Foster Griffin, who's 12-4, 3.31 ERA, 1.11 whip, and 133.1 innings, 116 hits, 122 strikeouts, 32 walks, 21 home runs. Meanwhile, he's going against Framber Valdez, 7-7 on the year, 4.17 ERA, 1.37 whip, 1.27 and 127.1 innings, 129 hits, 103 strikeouts, 45 walks, and 12 home runs given up for Valdez there as well. And then the 13th on Thursday, the third and final game of this series, 47.6% chance for the Guardians, 52.4% chance for the Tigers. Parker Messick, who's 8-6, 2.57 ERA, 1.06 whip, 1.29 or in 129.2 innings, 100 hits, 128 strikeouts, 37 walks, and 11 home runs. Going against Kiter Montero, who's also 8-6, 3.17 ERA, 1.00 whip, and 116.1 innings, 91 hits, 81 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 11 home runs. I want to go against the Tigers here for some reason, but I'd be crazy to do it. I think they're going to be able to play comfortable baseball at home while they're at Comerica Park, and they do have two guys that are seeming to find their way to wins, even if it isn't by the conventional ways in Framber Valdez and Kiter Montero, who will be on the mound in this series. I think they can pull off 2 wins against the Guardians. I'm going to take the Tigers to win this interweek, interdivision series that is going to be uberly important for them making a push into the playoffs. Now let's get into the hardwood in the WNBA. The Las Vegas Aces, 22-9, 13-4 on the road, taking on the Minnesota Lynx, who are 25-7, 12-5 at home. This game is later today, 1 p.m. CBS and Paramount Plus. 42% for the Aces, 58% for the Lynx. Both these teams are as healthy as healthy can be. The Aces won the first matchup 100-97 back on June 13th. Both these teams are 4-1 in their last 5. Aces wins over the Fever, Dream, Liberty, and Fire, a loss to the Sky. Meanwhile, the Lynx, they have wins over Seattle, 2 over Toronto Tempo, 1 win over the Fever, and a loss to the Sparks. As much as I want to pick the Aces because I love Aja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and company that have been balling over there of recent, I cannot ignore greatness. The Lynx are 25-7, 12-5 at home. Nafisa Collier is just starting to really get back in her groove. Olivia Miles has been Rookie of the Year. Natasha Howard is a beast on the inside. I haven't even talked about Kayla McBride. The Lynx are stacked. And this game is at the Target Center where they're 12-5 and they barely lose, but the Aces barely lose on the road at 13-4. I think it's going to be a blockbuster game, but I'm going to rock with the Lynx, which gets us into our next game. It's the Liberty. The Las Vegas Aces, 22-9, 13-4, as we just mentioned, taking on the Liberty, 19-3, 10-5 at home. 46.4% chance for the Aces, 53.6% chance for the Liberty. The series is tied at 1. Liberty won 87-76 on June 23rd. Meanwhile, the Aces won 104-99 on July 30th. Liberty also 4-1 in their last 5. Their last loss was that 5-point loss to the Aces. They have wins over Sparks, 2 over the Storm, and 1 over the Mercury in that stretch as well. Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Astier, and company looking to fight back. Satu Sabali is still out with that concussion. She's hoping to join the team here soon. This game will be Sunday, 12:30 p.m. on ABC. So tomorrow, buckle in for a fantastic matchup. But the Aces playing back-to-back days, I don't think is good to them. I think they actually lose both of these games just because the Lynx is a tough matchup. And then you got to play the Liberty the very next night. It's rough. They would ideally like to split, but I got them going home 0-2 after the weekend. Give me the Liberty, which moves us into our next game. The Lynx taking on the Dallas Wings. The Wings are 10-7 on the road, 19-12 at home. They're giving the Lynx a 66.8% chance to win this game, a 33.2% chance for the Wings. Looking at this matchup overall, Minnesota does dominate this series 3-0. They won at 90-86 back on May 14th, 100-76 back on June 9th, and 85-77 on June 28th. I'm ignoring all of that. Even though this game's at the Target Center, even though the Lynx are at home, even though the Wings have struggled against the Lynx, the Lynx having to play back-to-back games with an extremely healthy Dallas team coming in that has struggled of recent and needs a win. This could be a huge boost for Dallas trying to go into the playoffs and have some confidence. I'm going against the grain, and I'm going to take the Dallas Wings to take down the Minnesota Lynx, even though they play very good at home. They'll be coming off of that loss to they'll be coming off that win to the Aces the night before, and it'll be tough for them to win 2 games in a row. Give me the Wings, which then moves us on to another team that played Sunday, but will play again on Tuesday, August 11th, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. The Liberty will take on the Fever. Fever are 19-12, 11-6 at home. They're giving the Fever a 58.8% chance to win, a 41.2% chance for the Liberty. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and company for the Fever will look to take the series lead against the Liberty. Liberty won the first matchup June 6th, 81-75. They lost the second matchup. Fever won that one 108-88 back on July 18th. Fever have lost 2 games in a row to the Lynx and the Aces, so it's been tough for them against competitive teams. And the Liberty are yet again a competitive team. So I think it'll be tough for the Fever in this game as well. But with this game being at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse and with the Fever coming in with a little bit more rest than what you're seeing from the Liberty, I'm going to take the Fever to take down the Liberty in this game and come out victorious and take the 2-1 series lead, in which they have one more game against each other coming up on August 22nd to see if they can win it 3-1 or if they'll tie things up 2-2, which gets us over to our last game in the WNBA for the week. The Washington Mystics will be taking on the Las Vegas Aces on Tuesday, 10 p.m. This game, unfortunately, will not be easy to view for us, but it's 22.5% for the Mystics, 77.5% for the Aces. It will be at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Mystics didn't win the first game of the series back on July 22nd, 100-99. So it's about as tight as this game could possibly be. The Mystics are on a 5-game win streak. They have wins over the Valkyrie, the Aces, the Sun, and 2 wins over the Wings. While we know what the Aces have done in their recent competition, the Mystics are going to need this win if they're going to want to continue to keep pace over in the East and really the WNBA as a whole to try and steal that ace spot from the Liberty. But I don't think they're going to get it against the Aces. I think the Aces not only want their get back, but are going to need to win this game after they lost 2 earlier in the week. And when you're going against A'ja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young and company, you need everybody on point. Shakira Austin, Sonia Citron and company will be ready to play, but I'm not sure they have enough to battle the Aces. So that gives me the Lynx, Liberty, Wings, Fever, Aces, and the Tigers for our picks this week. Hoping to get a 6-0 week in here sometime soon. And make sure you are tuned in here to 95.3 The Ticket so you can get your Tigers coverage all weekend and all week long as they continue to play games and try and crawl their way into the MLB playoffs. Enjoy a weekend of sports, and we'll be back here next week with more Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Ticket.
Join Da'Jzon Hughes every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Mitten Madness on 95.3 WBCK. Miss the show or want to run it back? Stream Mitten Madness on demand on the WBCK app. Sponsored by airwaycashforjunkcars.com.